All right, for the next 2 segments, we're going to be talking to our guests, and they'll ride shotgun with us in the final segment to talk to Zach, Eric, Mike, Steve, Edward, and others. But we're here on this Sunday, and that's why I work so hard, because this country is in a stranglehold. The globalists have taken over, but it's fraudulent what they've done. So if we can call them out, we can reverse it. That's why they call real Americans extremists. That's why they demonize us. But look at what extremists said would happen 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 10 years ago. It's all happening. Oh, they weren't extremists. They were informed, good people that were involved and didn't care about the NFL and Dancing with the Stars and, you know, going and hiring hookers all day. They were people that didn't want to be slaves. Because being a man isn't about acting tough all day. It's about being involved. Now, Holland Vanden Nieuwenhof, the writer and one of the producers on A Noble Lie, the only modern, well-produced documentary proving Oklahoma City 17 years ago was an inside government op. He is here in studio with us, along with Chris Emery, co-producer and narrator of A Noble Lie, that I should add is available at Infowars.com. But the point is, anybody questions inside job, government bombings? This is the same attorney general, he was deputy attorney general then, who got caught shipping hand grenades and guns into Mexico to blame the Second Amendment. I want to get into this in the brief time we have with you guys, but first off, what do you make being a Marine? What do you make of all of this, openly admitting re-education camps for those of us that don't love the government? I guess we're supposed to just get on the Army trucks and give them our kids and go on down there. But I guess the American people are buying 5 million guns a month. I don't think they're going to go get on the trucks.
I don't think so at all, and it's amazing that that documentation has come out because we all knew it was true and we all knew it was out there, but to see it actually on paper that they're actually planning this, and the only question I really have is, do you really expect to be able to pull this off as smoothly as you're putting it down on paper? Because I don't think the people are going to walk into those camps of their own free will.
All the Marines you know, what would they do?
Well, it's probably half and half, to be true. I mean, half the military will pretty much do anything they're told. But another half, they're capable of introspective thought and capable of really looking at what their oath meant. And I think that at the very least they would be reluctant, and a very large amount would outright refuse to carry out these orders. I knew Marines who I had told when I was in, I said, if we ever get these orders, I'm refusing them, and I'm just letting you know that right now. And they were fine.
Because there's been constant training for it. I mean, I've been to the drills. What do you make of this?
I think it's straight out of the pages of Nazi Party and Stalin, and it's unacceptable. I will fight to defend my home and my family at the doorstep. If it comes to that, I'm not going to give up.
Well, the thing is, if I was single, I could say, well, politically things change. I might survive the camp. But with kids, it's just like, you know what? I can't give them over to the pedophile government. It's just, that's it. Okay, fine. And can you imagine? But then they said they're going to bring in foreign troops after that. They plan on the military and police being destroyed by us. They plan on having us have a civil war. Comments on that?
Well, I think that's basically what's going to happen, because they're going to, in the first opening days of whatever horrific event is going to allow them to start hauling people out to camps. A lot of cops and officers are just going to follow orders. But if they destroy themselves trying to throw American citizens into camps, and I don't think they were going to be able to do it. They're going to have to bring in.
Can you imagine what's going to happen to them?
Admiral Yamamoto, supreme leader of the Japanese Imperial Navy, says that there was no way that he would come in and take over the U.S. because there's going to be a gun behind every blade of grass. I don't think these people understand the...
This in 95 when they bombed it and acted like saviors. Exactly. People know about the White House memos saying they should bomb again.
Well, we see after Katrina, just a couple days after that a third of the police force refused to show up to work. They were either going home to protect their families or they had trouble with the orders they had been given. So they do know that they're going to have to bring in these outside disconnected units to do this. Like they brought in a National Guard unit from Arkansas to patrol the streets in Louisiana, brought in people from out of town. Well, you take that to a level farther, bring someone from out of the country who has absolutely no loyalty to the rule of law of this country or to the people of this country. And I think...
And by the way, that's in NLE 09. This is Congress 2 years ago is like, we want to know about plans to use foreign troops in America. And the foreign banks that run the Pentagon said, literally, go jump in the lake. What do you guys make of in Congress being told you have no authority over war now? I mean, just it's amazing how everything we warned of is now coming true.
Well, you see, the decline of the empire being laid out in the headlines. Just the mainstream media is not acknowledging this. This was going on with the decline of the Roman Empire. You see these things like, I've read this before, how the executive branch just becomes totally unaccountable, and the legislative branch just becomes a rubber stamp on anything you say. This is America. It's not supposed to happen here, but it is happening here right in front of our eyes.
Our legislature voted unanimously to not let TSA grow up their children, because it was happened to all the House members' kids. I've interviewed them. And the Fed said, we'll have a military blockade.
I think that's a hollow threat, and I think we should call them on their bluff. We have every right to. This is our country, darn it. We've got to stand up for what we have. We're going to lose everything.
We are losing it right now. What do you make of the millions of guns being sold a month and people saying it's for the government?
Oh, I think it's wonderful. There's probably more guns in the hands of Americans right now than maybe since the days of the last frontier. But that means that people are becoming afraid of what their government is planning, and also of what they fear where this economy is going. There's probably a lot of different reasons, but the fact that these weapons are in the hands of Americans means that the government's going to be more reluctant to try to take our rights.
Sure. In surveys, though, they say it's because they don't trust the government and collapse. Guys, Hoppy Heidelberg, tell folks who he was. He just passed. You guys were already going to be in town, but it's fortuitous you're here to eulogize him.
Hoppy Heidelberg was the grand juror on the jury that indicted Tim McVeigh and others unknown for the bombing, and he did pass Monday. And but we have recorded for posterity his stand against the lies they were trying to propagate. He actually stood up in the grand jury room and reported on corruption in the grand jury room, and because of that, we know so much more. So Hoppy, it was a good ceremony. We went to it, but he has been memorialized, at least in the pages of A Noble Lie.
But he exposed the government-sponsored terror. The FBI came to his house and threatened him with guns to shut up.
That's right.
And we've interviewed the police officers like Mr. Browning, who the FBI came to his office and said, we'll kill you and your wife.
Interesting note. After the funeral, Holland and I were approached by a firefighter, current firefighter, Oklahoma City Police, or Oklahoma City Fire Department. He knew Hoppy very well. He was surprised to see him in the video. They are showing our video at all the firehouses in Oklahoma City right now. I
stopped to give money to the boot for the kids with muscular dystrophy, and the firefighter was a listener, and the next one, and the guy 20 feet down went, Alex Jones, Alex Jones. I mean, yeah, they're awake.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. There's more of them out there than you think. I get reminded of that all the time, how many people who actually work in law enforcement or in public service are awake.
Has this been a devastating blow against the globalists exposing their attack in '95?
It has, because the evidence in there is unimpeachable. I would love for someone to give a qualified criticism of the evidence we present, but no one's going to come out there and try to attack anything that we...
And that's A Noble Lie, Oklahoma City, 1995. What do you make of all those White House advisors, even in the Financial Times of London and Reuters, saying Oklahoma City helped us, we want another one? Like we're dumb and don't hear them publicly saying they're going to do it again.
Well, it tells you how they regard us. Even if they have crocodile tears when these events happen, they certainly don't hesitate to take advantage of whatever agenda they can get across when these things happen. So that's one reason we called it A Noble Lie, these national myths that are used to propagate these deeper agendas. That's one reason that James Lane, our director, selected that title.
What do you make now? Because I'm sure you've seen it in the news. They go, the war on terror against Al-Qaeda is over. But now it's bigger than ever. The TSA is coming to your town.
Actually, I think it's kind of a scary time right now, because it's very close to 1995. In the mid-1990s, we didn't have a clear, distinct external enemy. We had won in the Gulf War. The Soviet Union was gone. Now we're kind of pulling back from the overseas war.
They're getting stay there. We're on a break. They're getting ready to rebrand the domestic terrorist. And they've said that domestics are about to hit. Forget Al-Qaeda. We let them have Libya. They're the good guys. The guy with the John Deere hat, he's the enemy. Both of you stay there. We're going to look at the coming stage terror attack by the foreign enemies. A Noble Lie, Oklahoma City, 1995. I'm in it. The inventor of the neutron bomb's in it. General Benton K. Parton. Eyewitnesses of the feds planting the bombs in the buildings. Like Jane Graham, she did her last interview ever a few weeks ago on my nightly news show. It's such an important document, because I'm telling you, you were just getting to that, Holland. You guys were just starting to talk about that, Chris, that you can see them branding. I've been saying this for years, but now it's like, forget Al-Qaeda. It's the evil people that don't want world government. They're the terrorists. All this is for them. It's not for Habib, Hassan, who openly works for the CIA. It's for us now. Continue breaking that down.
Yeah, so I find that very troubling is that some people could interpret it as good news that perhaps we are kind of pulling back from some of the wars that we're pursuing overseas. But I don't see that as a positive trend simply for the fact that if people have not been focusing on the scary external enemy, Osama bin Laden is, of course, now dead, finally, officially, and they're kind of winding down the wars, although they're not pulling out, but they're winding them down. That means people are going to have more attention to spend on our problems here in this country with this election going on.
It's time to learn that the American people are the terrorists, which it was always set up for.
Exactly.
War on terror is over, but the TSA is coming to your town.
Exactly, and the TSA is pushing back on all criticism. There's no way they're going to go easy on that. So I really think that they're going to have some kind of domestic incident to rebrand our neighbors, our fellow Americans, as possible threats.
Well, that's what's already in the manuals. They're just starting the rollout. As I keep warning people, Chris, your take on this?
Well, just a classic example. The morning of the anniversary, TSA Homeland Security was down there. I mean, incredible overreach of presence.
In Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Total 10th Amendment violation. Listen, there started the crotch groping in Texas on the street. It's the new American handshake. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It was amazing. These guys are telling me what was going on. I happened to be out of town and was screening the movie, and I couldn't believe what they were telling me over the phone. How many of the armored vehicles were there? The big semis with the radio uplinks and everything. I mean, what are your comments?
We've been at the memorial on the anniversary for a number of years past now, and there's never been a Homeland Security presence. First of all, it's not needed. Half the people down there are cops. I mean, even the back.
Well, I mean, the feds are the ones that did it, so they're just visiting the scene of the crime they did.
So it's not necessary for them to be there, and it's certainly not necessary to have a 300,000 mobile command post set up and a platoon of Homeland Security members in SWAT team uniform at parade rest in front of the gates of Time Memorial.
No, it's just training you that you're in North Korea.
Exactly. There's no utilitarian purpose for them to be there, but they are there, and it was so ironic that they have the stormtroopers in black in front of the Oklahoma City bombing memorial, and we see what the fruit of that was. This is what we have right in front of us. These guys in uniform on the streets of America in black uniform, basically.
Listen, there's Homeland Security trucks driving around everywhere. They're buying these giant armored ones, and they're saying it's for us. Armored pillboxes, 450 million hollow point bullets for us.
Yeah, the Bearcat armored vehicles are buying up by the thousands. I mean, they're preparing for a war or some kind of huge.
No, because they were run by foreign banks. They know they've robbed America.
This is like watching a newsreel from the 1940s, early 1940s, before World War II was over. It is really, we've got to do something about this. People need to understand this is not right. We have every right to defend.
Well, the average person listening, new listeners, like, I know these guys are right, but I'll just go along and I'll be okay. That's why we got here, and that's why you have no future. Just remember, you helped kill this country, and didn't just turn it over to Boss Hogg. These are nasty globalists with re-education camps for you and your family.
Yeah, this isn't just street-level corruption that's been plaguing us throughout history. This is an agenda at work.
Organized evil.
Yes, to rob this country dry, to bleed us dry, and to destroy us to serve a geopolitical agenda. That's what's at work now.
It's world government's being openly announced.
And the only way they're going to be able to do that is by totally destroying this country, because here in America, we still value our rights and our freedoms.
You can't have America with the freedoms and America still be the center of the empire. So they've got to kill that contradiction.
Exactly. So they're going to have to destroy our economy. They're going to have to destroy any semblance we have, any loyalty we may have towards the Constitution. That's got to happen. One of the biggest, obstacles they have in their path is the Bill of Rights. It's been for hundreds of years.
Did you see how the Chinese Communist government used the NDAA and passed their own version and used America as the reason? Well, we're allowed to secretly arrest now and kill people because America does it. America has no moral authority now because criminal banks run us. Corzine, Obama's advisor, steals billions, gets caught lying, doesn't get in trouble with MF Global. I mean, folks, this is only the beginning of how they're going to rape us financially.
I think it's almost comical how things are going now. I mean, NDAA, that's ridiculous. He signed it on New Year's Eve. Why would you do that if there was...
Said he wouldn't sign it. Of course he did. Turned out he demanded it. I've got a CNET article where the FBI admits, yeah, we're watching without warrants, and we got back doors and everything. I mean, it's just totally illegal.
Well, when they actually teach FBI in PowerPoint presentations that they're above the law, I mean, we all know what goes on behind closed doors when they're telling their buddies how things are really run. But when they're actually teaching it in class, in a PowerPoint presentation that sometimes we can break and are above the law, there's no...
Hey, federal court, circuit court grants immunity to torture memo